Welcome to the Deep Dive. You're here because you want to get informed, quickly and thoroughly. Today we're doing just that by heading back to 2007.
That's right. We're plunging into this fascinating blog by Jani and Santeri, the guys behind the Puistoblues festival.
Mm-hmm.
And they were experiencing the Austin City Limits Festival, ACL, in Texas. It's a really great chance to see a big American festival through, well, European eyes.
And experienced eyes too, seasoned pros.
Exactly, people who really know festivals.
Yeah. Puistoblues, for anyone who doesn't know, it's this amazing blues festival in Finland. Grew from basically nothing into this huge European event.
Yeah.
Pure passion.
It really is.
So you've got Jani, the veteran, with incredible musical instincts, and Santeri, who's always keen to learn, to absorb new ideas, putting them at ACL. It's going to give us some interesting insights.
Definitely. And their journey, it actually started before the festival gates even opened.
Oh, right. What happened?
Well, they landed in Austin and, bam, lost luggage. Classic travel problem.
Oh.
Yeah, Jani was apparently pretty worried about his shaving kit, which, I think anyone can relate to.
Totally.
But they didn't let it stop them. They made a point of visiting the Stevie Ray Vaughan statue, sort of a pilgrimage, really, for blues fans.
A must-do in Austin.
Absolutely. And they also checked out the Texas State Capitol building, which is pretty impressive. So right away, they were kind of soaking up that Texas vibe.
And then they hit the road. Dallas, wasn't it?
Yeah, a road trip to Dallas. You can just picture these two navigating the Texas highways.
With a dodgy GPS, probably.
Well, funny you should say that. They actually nicknamed their GPS Luigi, and apparently it wasn't always the most reliable guide through the Dallas traffic.
Ah, I knew it.
And they even stopped at South Fork Ranch, from the Dallas's TV show.
The Ewing Mansion. No way.
Yeah. Santeri apparently wrote in the blog that it seemed smaller than some engineers' houses back in Finland. Gives you a bit of perspective, huh?
Definitely does. Laughs slightly.
So.
What else in Dallas?
They also visited the site connected with JFK. Their blog kind of reflects on the whole tourist industry that springs up around these major historical spots. Interesting observations.
Yeah, that's always a tricky dynamic.
Yeah.
But okay, back to Austin. Before the festival proper, they checked out the music scene. 6th Street.
Exactly. They dove right into Austin's famous 6th Street. They went to this blues club called 311.
Okay.
And Janelle, with his super sharp ears for music.
He's got high standards.
Very high.
Yeah.
He mentioned being seriously impressed by the guitarist there. Said the musicianship was top-notch, even though there was no cover charge to get in.
Wow. That really speaks volumes about Austin's scene, doesn't it? Just talent everywhere.
It really does. So that kind of set the stage musically. And then came day one of ACL, Friday.
The main event begins. What was the first impression? Just scale.
Scale, definitely. Santeri's blog really gets across just how huge it felt. Massive queues just to get inside, and the security was really tight. They even confiscated some beers people were trying to bring in. Yeah. And he actually compared the size of the crowds and the whole vibe to, taking 4 big Finnish festivals and putting them all together.
4 festivals. Okay, that's big.
That gives you an idea. Jani, looking at it more from an organizer's point of view, also noted the huge crowds, but he seemed focused on the atmosphere, saying it felt like, good energy despite the size.
That's interesting. The organizer's perspective. So who did they see first?
First band up for them was Crowded House.
Oh, cool. Classic band.
Yeah. Jani noted they seemed in really good spirits. It was actually their last tour date at that time, and they were definitely still relevant. Their album from that year had done pretty well.
Still got the magic.
Seems so. But then, something probably closer to Jani's heart, James Hunter.
Ah, okay. Blues guy.
Exactly. Playing on one of the smaller stages, Hunter had actually been Grammy nominated for Best Traditional Blues the year before, for his album, People Gonna Talk. It even hit #1 on the Billboard Blues chart.
So proper credentials.
Absolutely. And Jani's review in the blog, just glowing. He wrote that Hunter sang heavenly well.
Wow.
And managed to create this really intimate, almost club-like atmosphere, even in the middle of this massive festival. Coming from Jani, that's serious praise.
Definitely. Did Santeri pick up on that vibe too?
Yeah, Santeri noticed it too. He mentioned people were still buzzing about Hunter's set afterwards, so he clearly made a real connection.
Nice. Any other big names they caught on Friday?
They managed to see parts of Queens of the Stone Age. Their album Era Vulgaris was pretty recent and doing well.
Rock royalty.
Pretty much. And also Kaiser Chiefs, who were absolutely huge in the UK then. So a real mix of stuff.
And the headliner, Björk, wasn't it?
Bjork, yeah. Johnny's take was really interesting. He appreciated the whole visual spectacle, of course, but he seemed really focused on the technical side,
How so?
like how her really complex kind of experimental music was translated live. He seemed genuinely impressed by how they pulled it off, and she was a big deal. Her album Volta had just debuted in the top 10 in the US.
Yeah, she has a huge following. Okay, so that's the music. But wasn't there some crazy story at the end of day one?
Oh, yeah. The taxi story. This is fantastic. So after the show, they faced this massive queue for taxis, like an hour long.
Ugh, festival nightmare.
Totally. But they end up sharing a cab with, wait for it, Alex from Coachella.
The Coachella.
Yep. And Glenn, who was apparently the mayor of Indio, the town where Coachella happens.
You are kidding me. In the same cab.
In the same cab. Just a completely random, only at a festival kind of encounter.
That's insane. What do they talk about?
Well, Alex apparently invited them to Coachella as VIP guests on the spot.
What?
Yeah. And just casually mentioned that Coachella was making like a $10 million profit. Just drop that in there.
Wow. Talk about different scales.
Exactly. Gives you a real sense of the business side of these mega festivals. And get this, Alex even remembered having a Finnish au pair once named Hilka.
Small world. Santeri must have been soaking all this up, right? The business insights.
Oh, absolutely. You can imagine him always learning, just absorbing all these details about how these huge events run.
And wasn't there something else about the fare?
Right. This is the kicker. The taxi fare was like $42. Alex pulls out a $100 bill, gives it to the driver, and tells Jani and Santeri to keep the change for dinner.
No way. Just like that.
Just like that. They were completely blown away by the generosity. It just left this huge impression.
I bet. What a way to end the day. Okay, so day 2, Saturday. Did it start any smoother?
Well, it started with a proper Texan breakfast. Their blog description makes it sound pretty epic, like they were seriously fueling up.
Got to prepare.
Exactly. And they found out why the entry was so slow on Friday. Apparently, there'd been a truck fire somewhere on the festival site.
Okay. That makes sense. Caused a safety shutdown, probably.
Yeah, seems like it. A bit of behind-the-scenes drama.
So, musically, what was Saturday like?
They started with a band called Augustana, described them as decent American guitar pop rock. Nothing earth-shattering, maybe. Then country legend Steve Earle.
Oh, Steve Earle. Major figure.
Huge. Johnny acknowledged his status, absolutely. But he did note that seeing him solo, just him and a guitar on that massive festival stage, it didn't quite connect for him personally.
Yeah, I can see that. Sometimes solo acts struggle on those huge stages.
It's a different dynamic, isn't it? But then something completely unexpected happened.
Oh, go on.
They just got stopped totally out of the blue by a local Austin news crew, Channel 8 News.
Really? Why?
They were just looking for festival goers to interview, get some reactions, and guess who ended up giving the interview?
Let me guess. Johnny.
Bingo! Santeri wrote that Johnny kind of took a deep breath and then just launched into this great interview talking about their experience as visitors from Europe.
That's brilliant. His moment of fame.
Totally. Apparently the crew even filmed some extra shots, B-roll, of them just walking around enjoying the festival atmosphere. Santeri seemed pretty amused by the whole thing.
I love it. What a great anecdote. So after Johnny's TV debut, who did they see?
They finally caught Stephen Marley. His solo album Mind Control was out that year. It's a big deal. Won a Grammy later.
Right, Bob Marley's son. Big draw.
Definitely. Jani noted the performance was really lively, suited the sunny weather perfectly, and he also mentioned the very distinct smell of marijuana wafting through the air.
Laughed slightly. Of course he did. All part of the authentic festival report.
You gotta have those sensory details. They also saw bits of Arctic Monkeys and Indigo Girls, and they were both really taken with Butch Walker.
Butch Walker, yeah, he's great. Very talented guy.
Santeri called him a very cool new acquaintance, which sounds quite personal. Jani probably just appreciated the sheer musical skill and stage presence.
Makes sense. Now, day 2 had some lineup issues, right? Headliners pulling out.
Yeah, unfortunately. Amy Winehouse and the White Stripes both had to cancel, which must have been a big blow.
Definitely. Big names to lose.
Yeah. So, partly because of that, Jani and Santeri decided to leave the festival a bit early that day. Santeri mentioned wanting to beat the potential rush, maybe thinking back to that taxi queue the night before.
Smart thinking. Learning the logistics.
Exactly. And he made a point of saying how good the shuttle bus service was getting back. Efficient. Always a plus at these big events.
Always. Okay, so Sunday, day 3. This was meant to be a big music day for Jani, right?
Yeah, Sunday was the day he seemed most musically focused, even though there were some annoying schedule clashes. You know how it is at festivals.
The eternal struggle. Who did they start with?
Started with Rose Hill Drive. Jani apparently really liked their sound, kind of 70s inspired retro rock, got his seal of approval.
Okay, cool.
Then it was Amos Lee. Santeri hadn't heard of him, but Jani was impressed right away, noted the sound was damn good, and made a mental note to check him out more. And Lee was starting to get a lot of buzz then, Rolling Stone attention and stuff.
Jani was still discovering new stuff he liked. Good sign.
Always listening. Then came a really specific recommendation they acted on.
Who?
Their colleague back at Puistoblues, Timo Mastonen, he basically told them, you have to see Billy Joe Shaver. Whatever else you do, see Billy Joe.
Wow, strong recommendation. He's a country legend, right? Outlaw country?
Absolutely. A true original, deeply respected, and Jani, he totally got it.
What did he think?
He called Shaver an excellent storyteller, said he just grabbed the audience immediately, and Jani used this great Finnish term, a real IJ.
IJ.
What does that mean?
It's like a real dude, an authentic, strong character, someone genuinely the real deal. High praise, basically, for his authenticity.
Okay, I get it. Sounds like Shaver made a big impact.
Definitely. But then came the frustration. Wilco was playing at the same time.
Arrgh. The clash. And Jani really wanted to see Wilco, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. He had super high expectations. Their album Sky Blue Sky had just come out and debuted at #4 on Billboard. They were critically acclaimed, popular, the works.
So did he make it? Did he choose Wilco? He chose Wilco. And based on the blog, it was absolutely the right choice for him.
How good was it?
He called it his musical highlight of the entire festival, just raved about the sound, the way the guitars work together, especially on the song Impossible Germany.
Oh, that guitar solo.
Exactly. His blog just says, ha. After mentioning it, like he was just blown away. Pure musical bliss for him.
That's fantastic. Finding that one perfect festival set.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? After that, they caught Ziggy Marley. It was in a tent, apparently packed. Santeri mentioned the great vibe in the crowd. Jani was probably looking at crowd control.
Probably. And then the grand finale for them.
Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan, yeah.
Yeah.
Santeri mentioned they had a bad spot at first, couldn't see well, so they had to kind of maneuver closer.
Classic festival move.
Totally. And Jani's analysis was really interesting. He kind of acknowledged Dylan's, unique vocal style.
Everyone does.
Right, but he really honed in on the band, called them absolutely brilliant, said it was like a 10-piece group with a really strong country feel. He focused on the musicianship again.
Exactly. He specifically praised the lead guitarist, probably Denny Freeman, for being really tasteful and stylish. Even with an icon like Dylan up front, Jani was dissecting the band's quality. And Dylan was still huge then. Modern Times had topped the charts not long before.
Still relevant, still drawing massive crowds. And how was getting out of there on Sunday night any better?
According to Santeri, yes, another logistical win. He noted how surprisingly fast they got out of the massive park and back downtown, clearly impressed by the organization.
Good. They learned how to navigate it by day 3. So that was the festival. What about the wind down?
Well, the trip wrapped up with Jani going on what he called a Sulo-Vilan shopping spree. Apparently, that's some Finnish cultural reference to maybe enthusiastic shopping.
I'm about right.
And they spent one last night on 6th Street, soaking it all in. Jani really enjoyed some jam sessions at a place called Maggie May's. Santeri liked this comedy music duo at another spot, Ivory Cat.
Still finding good music.
Mostly. Jani, ever the critic, did apparently dismiss one amateur band they heard as not quite up to snuff.
Consistent to the end.
Yep. Then, before heading to the airport, just a quick look around the University of Texas campus.
Okay.
And Santeri added this funny little note about feeling slightly guilty because they might miss a gig they were supposed to play back home with a band called Annie B because they had to catch their flight.
Ah, the musician's life. Priorities, right.
Exactly. So overall, you really see these two perspectives, don't you? Jani, using all his musical knowledge and festival organizing background to analyze everything.
Yeah, the seasoned pro.
And Santeri, just like sponge, taking in the massive scale, the way things work, discovering all this new music. It's that mix of like deep expertise and really eager learning.
It really is a great dynamic. It shows how different viewpoints can make any experience richer, doesn't it? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Jani and Santeri's Texan adventure.
Yeah, we hope this look through their blog, maybe gives a better sense of that interplay, the veteran and the learner in a totally new setting.
Definitely food for thought. What would your main takeaways be if you went to a huge international festival like ACL? How would your background shape what you noticed, what you valued?
Something to think about. Thanks for diving deep with us today. And hey, maybe check out some of those artists or places we mentioned.
Yeah, keep exploring. Until next time, welcome to the Deep Dive. You're here because you want to get informed, quickly and thoroughly. Today, we're doing just that by heading back